In today's video, we are going to cover how to get a job at Meta as a project manager. Let's go. Now, Meta's process for a project manager position is 3 steps. There's the first step where you're interviewing with a head sourcer. There is the second step. In that step, you are interviewing with a peer, so another project manager, typically a more senior one. And the third step is kind of a round robin interview process where you're meeting with multiple different people, including the hiring manager. Now, in today's video, we are specifically going to be talking about the first interview, the round 1 interview with a head sourcer. Let's get into it. Now, why do you want this job at Meta as a project manager? Well, 1, you get to work on really cool things, and 2, they're pretty well compensated. Glassdoor has the average salary of a project manager at Meta ranging between $95,000 and $200,000. Now, this first round interview is only going to last about 30 minutes. It's a brief interview, it is a check the box interview, and if you come in prepared, you are going to do well. If they're even talking to you, it means you are minimally qualified, meaning you are qualified enough to interview for the position. So if you do well, in all likelihood, you will get moved on to the second round. Now, the person I interviewed who made it all the way to the final round of the Meta interview process for a project manager said you were only really asked 2 questions. So it lasts 30 minutes, and the first question they're going to ask you is why Meta? Now, this is the most important interview question you're going to get asked when you're interviewing for a company, because it's essentially, why do you want to work here? And if you don't have a compelling answer, you're probably not going to get the job. Now, if you want a full deep dive on how to answer this interview question, I suggest you watch this video right here. I go through and I give you several different ways for you to answer this interview question, but I'll summarize quickly here. Whenever you're asked, why do you want to work here? You want to use the 50-50 method. And the 50-50 method is that you use 50% of your answer to talk about why the company is motivating, interesting, and compelling to you. And the second 50% should be about why you were specifically interested and qualified for this job. So you can pick many different things about the company that's intriguing. Maybe you've been a big fan of Facebook growing up and you've always been a part of it. Maybe you like their mission about creating community. Just pick something that makes sense for you. And then in the second part, bring it home as to why you were highly qualified, highly effective, and this is the perfect role for you in this stage in your career. If you can do that, you're going to answer this question with flying colors. Now, the second question that they're going to ask you is, why do you want to make a move? And this question is really important to get right, just like the first one, because if you get this wrong, it is a pretty quick disqualifier. Now, my big keys here are that you need to, 1, not throw your current company, your current boss, or your current teammates under the bus. So you don't want to say anything negative about the company. It never really serves you to talk down. If you say, my boss is creating a toxic workplace, they don't know what they're doing, they're not a motivational leader, they're probably going to look at that and go, there is a chance that the candidate is actually a problem and not the situation they're currently in. So you want to avoid that. So you're probably wondering, well, Ben, how can I answer this question? Now, the best way to answer this interview question is to basically talk about that you're not actually running from something, you're running to something. So it works really well if they reached out to you. If they've reached out to you, like a recruiter reaches out and said, hey, I saw your LinkedIn profile, and I think you'd be a good fit here, that's perfect, because you can say, I'm actually quite happy in my current role. I've got a great team, a great leader, and I've been exposed to a variety of opportunities. However, when the recruiter reached out to me, it was really interesting because I've always admired Meta as a company, and the role sounded so intriguing. So to be candid with you, I'm not truly looking to leave my role, but for an opportunity like this, man, I read it and I was really inspired, and I felt I owed it to myself to at least find out more. That's a great way because 1, it establishes leverage, but 2, it also makes it look like you're not running from something. It avoids you talking down in your current company. Now, if you applied, that's a little bit different. You can't say that, but you can do a similar version. You can say, to be honest, I'm not really looking for a new role. I happen to be on LinkedIn and I saw this role posted. And I don't remember how I saw it, but I saw it come up, so I clicked on it and I was reading through the role and I thought to myself, wow, this sounds really, really exciting. And I want to pursue it. Another great way to add on to this role is you want to, or answering this question, is you want to look at the role and one of the key responsibilities. You can talk about how that is something you specifically would like to be doing more of. In my current role, I'm really happy. I like it there. However, one of the things that I saw in the job description is one of the key responsibilities is this. Now, I've done that in the past, but I don't have as much opportunity to do that in my current role. So I specifically would love to do more of that function, whatever it is. But remember, when you're answering this interview question, you don't want to be negative, and it always has to be more about what you're moving to instead of what you're leaving. Now, after that question was asked and it was answered satisfactory, what the head sourcer ended up doing was spending a lot of time walking through the job, walking through the responsibilities, the team, etc., and then finally wrapping up the interview by asking for availability and when this person would be able to do the next steps, which is, again, an interview with a peer. Now, this video is done, but you gotta go watch this one, because in this one, I'm actually gonna cover what that interview was like. And I gotta tell you, round one is pretty easy. These questions, you could probably answer them pretty well, but round two is much more complicated. There's a lot of behavioral interview questions. In this video, I tell you exactly what they are, and I teach you how to answer them. Let's go.